Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a look at Arcane Tinmen's board game sleeves, size Tarot. These sleeves are clear sleeves and you can pick up one pack of these for an MSRP of $7.99, and for that price you'll get 100 sleeves in this pack. That averages to about 8 cents per sleeves, which is a little bit on the higher end, not the highest end, but a little bit on the higher end of the spectrum for sleeves of this size. The package also includes a little frame that you can use to test your cards to see if they fit. So what I have here is a Century Spice Road card, and we'll put them here and see if it fits. It does not fit. However, the curious thing about this frame here is that the frame is actually significantly smaller than the card, so maybe that this is some sort of printing error on the part of the Arcane Tinmen brand, because if you look at the actual size of the sleeve, it's almost certainly going to fit this card. So I don't know why this frame is not the normal, full size of the sleeve, but I think that this is an error on the part of Arcane Tinmen's printing as opposed to the sleeves not actually going to fit. Now what you get are 100 propylene sleeves, acid-free and absolutely no PVC, so they should be able to hold your cards for a long time. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. Alright, here are our sleeves. As you can see, the sleeves are smooth and glossy on both sides. Now to see if there are 100 sleeves here. Alright, there are 101 sleeves in this pack, so you get everything that you pay for and one more, which isn't that bad. As to their relative thickness, at 100 sleeves you get this at 9 millimeters for 100 sleeves. So that means that each sleeve is going to be about 180 microns each sleeve, or 19 microns each face. Now we'll check the dimensions. These sleeves are 72 millimeters wide by 105 millimeters tall. Let's go ahead and take one of these tarot-sized cards and stick it inside, see how well it fits. Alright, it seems to fit pretty well. There's just a tiny bit of play on the edges, and there is a little bit of space between the opening of the sleeve and the top edge of the card. It looks like it's a couple millimeters, and I would say that that's a pretty decent fit. Alright, now it's time for the sleeving test. I'm going to sleeve these 45 Century Spice Road cards into 45 of these sleeves and see how long it takes. Ready, set, go! Alright, that took 2 minutes and 2 seconds to sleeve these 45 cards, and that is a reasonable speed of 2.71 seconds per card sleeved. I actually think that's probably going to be a bit faster. This is the first set of sleeves that I tested, but I did feel like the cards slipped right into the sleeves without any friction, and I lost a tiny bit of time at the very beginning when I noticed that I had these card sleeves upside down. So I think that the sleeving process is very good and I don't have any complaints about it. Now that I've sleeved these cards, let's test for their uniformity and their consistency outside of the pack. The sleeves feel mostly uniform on the top. There do seem to be a few very mild outliers, such that there is a little bit of a texture when you rub your thumb against the top surface, but it is so mild that I don't think that's going to be an issue. And similarly, there is this also mild texture on the sides, but for the most part I don't feel like there are any sleeves that really stick out at all, so I don't see any problems here. And in terms of their overall quality out of the package, there is some warping on these sleeves, so in bright light situations you will notice that the sleeves have a little bit of warping on the surface, but I didn't actually notice any other issues in terms of damage or stray plastic bits or noticeable denting or anything. So the only real issue is the little cosmetic warping that you might see on some of these sleeves. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with the presentation of the sleeves right out of the package. Next is the shuffle test. I'm going to shuffle these sleeved cards 100 times and see how long it takes. Ready, set, go. Alright, that took 2 minutes and 50 seconds to shuffle these sleeved cards 100 times. And that is a reasonable speed of 1.7 seconds per shuffle. Given that these sleeves are so crazy thick, it's not that surprising that these sleeves took a while to shuffle. Just gripping them in order to do a mass shuffle is a bit of a strain on the wrist, and so I don't think that most people are going to be shuffling these sleeves in a mass shuffle anyways. I imagine that a lot of people are going to be doing like a riffle shuffle, maybe a side riffle like this. But I'm not super fast at that, and so I wanted to do it consistent with all the ways that I've been testing the sleeves so far. So I did the mass shuffle, which I do much faster due to my experience playing CCGs, and I felt like the handling is going to be difficult in general for sleeves of this size, so I'm not going to hold this particularly against these particular sleeves. I do note that they are very slippery, and so part of the handling issues, and you might have noticed that I dropped the cards a few times, is that the cards are really slick, and when you have an issue holding the cards in one hand as it is, then you're going to find that it's possible that if you're shuffling very quickly that you might cause the cards to slip. But for the most part, because the sleeves are shaped pretty well and the edges are not too thick, I haven't really noticed many issues with getting the half of the deck to slide into the other half. Every once in a while I did notice that a sleeve will catch when I am pulling it out, but that's only every once in a while, and that's because there are slight ridges at the sleeve seams here that can cause the sleeves to catch on one another, possibly when you're pulling one out, and that might cause a card to drop off. But unless you're really shuffling with the aim of shuffling very quickly, you're not going to notice this. But I do think that these sleeves in particular don't really have much resistance, so I'm pretty pleased with how well that they shuffle. Now that I have handled these cards, we're going to take a look to see how well they held up. Alright, taking a look at these sleeves, it does look like that there is no significant wear. I did notice that a couple sleeves had some minor dents in them. I'm not sure if they came from handling or if they came just straight out of the package, but there were not many sleeves with dents on them, and I didn't really notice any issues with bent corners or split seams, and so I feel like these sleeves are going to be about as good as you might expect from any other sleeves. One thing that I did notice while examining these sleeves is that there seems to be some very mild line at the very bottom here of each of the sleeves. It's very consistent across all the sleeves, so I don't think it's going to mark any of your cards in any sort of way. And it's very faint. I don't even know if you can see it on this camera, but there is a very consistent line across the bottom of each of these sleeves. And if you look at these sleeves here, it may be a little bit more visible, but there is a bit of a stick that the bottom eighth of the sleeve has with each other, and I think that might have something to do with how these sleeves are packaged or processed or produced. And I don't know what that is, but I think it's really minor. I don't think even the average perfectionist is going to be bothered by this line that you can see at the very bottom of these sleeves. Now it's time for the shake test. I have stacked these cards into a deck, and I'm going to shake the table for a couple seconds to see if this deck will hold together. Ready, set, go. Alright, the deck didn't fall at all, and as I suspected that, just because the size of the cards means that it's going to take a particularly tall deck for this to get at all wobbly. And so here's 45 cards in deck, and it's not going to have any issues. And as you can see, there's plenty of friction holding the cards together, so even as slick as these sleeves are, you really do have to push it quite a bit in order to cause the deck to fall. Now it's time for the draw test. I'm going to draw 3 cards off the top and see if the deck will hold together as I manipulate it. Ready, set, go. Yep, as with the shake test, the deck is pretty stable just due to the large size of these cards, so I don't anticipate that this deck is going to have a problem with you drawing cards off the top of it. And that is Arcane Tinmen's board game sleeves for tarot size cards. Despite this printing error, I think that I found the sleeves in general to be pretty good. I didn't have any problems with the quality of the sleeves out of the package, their consistency. I didn't have any issues with sleeves that are worn or damaged, so that is all a positive here. They handle fine, they sleeve fine, and aside from some warping on the surface and some barely noticeable lines that you can see on the bottoms of these sleeves, and maybe a couple dents that showed up here and there, which are fairly invisible. Here's one right now that you can see right here. I found that these sleeves are pretty good. The price is a little bit higher than the average sleeve, so that is something to keep in mind, but you get 100 sleeves in each pack, and so if you just want 100 sleeves, you don't have to buy 2 packs, I guess. So that's something for some of you. If you've had any experience with these sleeves, let me know what your experience was in the comments below. If you found this video helpful to you, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.